Welcome to Missing the Point. We're talking basketball. It's the off season, but some shit is going down. You're here. We're here to talk Celtics and the honestly mega blockbuster trade. Probably the biggest trade that the Celtics have done since, I don't know, like
Isaac. But like that wasn't blocked.
I honestly think it's the biggest trade since we traded away Paul and KG and Ray. I think that or
what about
Paul
the Kyrie
KG.
one?
I that was a signing, wasn't it? I don't think we traded for him.
Oh no, they traded actually.
No, it was a trade.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. IT, that's right. Because then it was the whole thing with his sister that was set. I don't know. I think Marcus meant more to the organization than IT did, just based on time spent. And this is the thing that we're going to talk about. We're going to break it down like this. Just at the top of the hour, I'm going to tell everybody how this is going to go. We're going to talk initial reactions to Marcus Smart getting traded in the context of the last couple of seasons, the postseason runs and you know, the chemistry and stuff like that, the stuff we've had to change up. I want to know best Marcus Smart memories. I want to talk about him in a positive light and the ways that he's contributed to this team since we drafted him what feels like fucking eons ago at this point. I want to hear about, you know, what he brought to the team, like the culture, what you liked about him. I want to hear what frustrated you about him, or we're going to do a whole Marcus Smart retrospective. Then we're going to talk about the Memphis side of the trade, because I personally feel like it's exactly like Tony Allen, right? It's the exact same fucking thing. Same like dogged defender, a guy that's been around since the jump of his career with us. And I'm pretty sure they're both 29 when they got traded. So it's like,
that's correct.
You know, this is very similar, and I think Memphis is a perfect place for him. I think they're going to love him there. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about KP and the impact that he's going to have, hopefully, on the Celtics. What you see the team looking like, how we're going to run in an ideal world. This Kristaps Porzingis new front court, essentially, right? Completely different look. I mean, we're going to have to do a lot of things differently with a guy like him. And then lastly, I want to talk, because we haven't actually been together since it's basically been 100%, at least the specific trio here, basically been decided that we're running it back with Joe Mazzulla. But it seems we put what I would call our dream cast around him to maybe help him make more veteran decisions throughout the regular season and hopefully, fingers crossed, the postseason next year. So that's just me telling the guys, essentially, listeners, because it's been a bit of a whirlwind here on the podcast, and we did not have time to prep any show notes today. So I'm just saying it in advance so that they can start thinking about the shit I'm going to ask them. But these are professionals. They're going to be just fine. So we're talking about Marcus Smart, and I'm just going to lead it off with the fact that he was a polarizing figure in Boston. I feel like Celtics Twitter, for better or for worse, would come out with postseason takes on Marcus Smart based in what seemed to me like a bunch of people that did not watch him in the regular season, that just kind of showed up in the postseason and didn't understand what he really did, or didn't really watch postseasons where it didn't look like we had a chance at winning, bandwagoners, and had certain criticisms of Marcus Smart. At the same time, certain criticisms of Marcus Smart have been valid in the past. I want to start positive, and I want to talk about your favorite memories of him, if whether it be specific games or specific moments, or just like an overall sort of evaluation on what he brought to the culture. Because for me, it's really hard to pick a specific memory, but I really enjoyed, and I can't remember who the player was that got fouled, but I don't know if you remember. This is the thing that sparks in my mind when I think about Marcus Smart. One of our guys went up and they broke the other team broke the cardinal rule of basketball, which is you don't hit somebody when their center of gravity's gone, when they're up in the air. Hit, like, tabletop the guy, hit the ground. I just remember I've never seen Marcus Smart run that fast before or since to get in the dude's face, right? And that to me was like the cultural staple of Marcus Smart, the things he brought to the table. When we were complaining about this team not having enough grit, not being in enough fights, not fucking opening their mouths, rolling over, that criticism was very rarely able to be leveled at him. So, Ray, what are your fondest memories of Marcus, whether it be, you know, I mean, I'm sure we'll use the word intangibles 7,000 times on this podcast talking about him specifically, but, you know, is it something like my favorite memory of him getting into scraps? Is it a play? Is it a defensive play, an offensive play? Is it him firing up the team? Is it him ignoring Grant Williams and walking away from him in the huddle? Because that's one of mine too. Talk to me about Marcus.
I wanted to start negative though. No,
we'll get there. Don't worry.
we'll get there. No, you know that was for you, Mike. But No, I have two. There's two that come to mind right away. And one of them sparked one of the best debates on the show. So, and we talked about 2020 in the bubble, Toronto, and Boston went back and forth. Which at that time, Toronto was the defending champs. Obviously, Kawhi had already went to LA at that time, and LA ended up losing to Denver, in that second round. But uh, the 5 threes he hit, and I think it was in game 2, he hit like 5 threes in a row, and they was kind of dead in the water that game because Toronto was just being Toronto and hanging around, and Lowry's being Lowry, and Van Vliet's being Van Vliet, and they're just doing whatever.
Is
And
this
once again,
the, was this the Toronto stink year? Is that what the year
That
we were
was
in?
that was the
that you
Toronto
felt
Stinks
exactly,
year.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
it was.
Who won that series?
Um,
I don't.
yeah, once the 1-7, but
In
yeah,
seven, in seven,
yeah.
in seven.
So,
They
but yeah,
fucking
him,
stink.
yeah, the 5 threes he hit.
Turns out Boston do too, though. That's the problem. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the five threes in a row were just special to see in that moment. Like he rose to the occasion there. And then the other one I think of is the game 3 of the 2017 conference finals. They had got smacked by Cleveland the first 2 games. I think IT gets hurt in game 2, which ended up being his last game in Boston. And Marcus Smart comes out there and scores 27 in game 3. I think Avery Bradley or Jerebko hit. No, it was Jerebko hit the game-winning shot with like
Let's
1
go.
second left. And
Was that when he's sitting on the ground and he's like, yeah, like was that the
that
highlight?
might have been. I'm not sure. But I like I said, those are just like I said that game 2 against Toronto in the playoffs that year, and then I said that game 3. Like there's other moments that I know you guys were bringing up, but those are 2 that stick out to me. Just at first thought.
Yeah, it's tough that to think about that year too, because it's like the second one you brought up, because it's like I always think back so fondly to that Wizards series, IT versus John Wall, and like that crazy like back and forth they had for that whole series, and then IT goes down, and little did we know, right? Like that next summer, like all that stuff happens, but that's what sticks out to me about that time period. But it is interesting to remember that Marcus was such a huge contributor to that in key moments, because up until this last year, he was really the like, I'm the only one doing anything guy if we were sucking, right? Like if we weren't doing well, he would be like, fuck it, I'm dragging them out of this. And he didn't really have that anymore. And I do want to talk about how I think we sold high on him. Like I know that a lot of people are reacting negatively to this trade, but I think we sold high on him on the fact that like I'm not 100% sure he's ever going to replicate that, like that, what you're talking about, Ray. And I think that what we got in return is pretty fair if true, right? But Bobby, your favorite moments of our warring guard.
Yeah, mine goes back to a time where the Celtics not having heart and grit was the biggest problem that we had, and that's 2017.
So now
That's even more so, and that's the Kyrie years, man. The only person that ever showed heart and grit in that time was Marcus, and it's the Houston Rockets game in December of 2017, where Marcus Smart single-handedly took down. I think they were the 1 seed. I think they were the best team in the NBA at that point, and James Harden's Houston Rockets by forcing 2 offensive fouls within the last minute of the game.
Yep.
And I just think it gave not only that team, but gave Marcus Smart more of a lore in Boston, because, that's what Boston loves. Is they love those intangibles. They love, taking a team that's so much better than them at the time and using those intangibles to get that win. So I that one sticks out to me the most, especially the one, I think there was like under 10 seconds left where he forced that charge against Harden. And it just really sticks
Harden,
out
like,
in
threw
my
that
mind.
threw
man.
that game away too. Like
Yeah.
Harden, like being peak Harden at that point. Like, do you remember like right at that around that time he like dribbled it out of bounds or like didn't pass it in right or something, and we got the ball back. Like we really shouldn't have won that game. And I think Marcus was a huge part of that. But like I do remember fucking Harden fucking up like really bad in that game.
That
so fucking hard.
That one offensive foul, though, just epitomizes who Marcus Smart was, is taking their best player and turning it against the other team just because of who Marcus Smart was, man. And I think the other one, too, was the best no, yes I've ever seen in my life. and that's the Brooklyn Nets buzzer beater last year, where everyone in the stadium, if you go back and listen to this, you can hear the entire stadium scream, "No!" when Marcus goes up to shoot, but instead he passes it to Tatum. Tatum does the famous spin, goes up for the buzzer beater. Those two stick out in my mind. I'll never forget Marcus, man. And my other one is my Wicked Smart shirt. That's retired now. I don't know if I can bust that out anymore because, it'll never be Wicked Smart again, ever. So those are the three things that stick out.
Those are all good. I kept one in my back pocket because I didn't want to steal it from you guys, but I don't know if you remember. It was like halfway through his rookie year, or maybe not even halfway through, maybe like maybe 20 games into his rookie year. We played Brooklyn. It was post trading KG to Brooklyn, right?
Mhm.
And it was the first ever, at least in my mind, maybe he had done it before this, but it was the first ever like Marcus Smart dives for a steal / loose ball, right? And he picks the ball up. I'm pretty sure it was, I forget who coughed it up, to be honest with you, but Marcus gets the ball. We still had Jeff Green on the team. He goes down the court. KG goes to like jam it loose, and Marcus, like, before he gets there, throws it up to Jeff Green, and Jeff Green dunks it. And then KG complimented him afterwards. And I was like, oh, okay. We got the KG blessing on this Marcus Smart kid. I think that we might have something here. I think if Tommy had not have died, he would have like a higher account balance of Tommy points than he actually does. I think that he might even rival the great Walter McCarty if there was still
close. It's close.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it'll be
honestly,
close.
he's up there, and if we not traded him, I'm sure he would have gotten some more. Jarrett Jack was the guy who caught the ball up for Brooklyn. If that's a deep cut for anybody.
It's such a great
yeah,
deep
wow.
cut, bro. That's a great deep cut.
Yeah. But he used to love to cough the ball up. So,
I do have another one though.
okay, yeah, please.
I have two more.
Yeah, this is a Marcus memoriam.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
the game winner against Toronto. This is early in his career though. I think they just got IT and they missed the layup. Olynyk, I think, had missed it at the rim, and Marcus Smart laid it back up. And all I can hear is CJ Maxwell like, the same thing that makes you laugh will make you cry. Marcus Smart, baby. Like, so I remember that call. And then I don't know if I was there for this game, like as a fan, but I think the 11 threes he hit against Phoenix.
I remember that.
The 2018-2019 season. Phoenix had just been, I mean, Booker
11 threes in a game.
Boston goes to work. He just always goes crazy against us in that building anyways. And Marcus Smart went crazy and had 11 threes. By far his best game offensively of his career. So I think that those are the last two. I'm sure there's other moments, but those are the two that came to memory.
Do you remember the one game? Since we're doing this, do you remember the one game? I want to say it was maybe his second or third year. It was against OKC at OKC, and it was like Russ at the height of his powers, right? And I was never a big Russell Westbrook fan, as you guys know. This is well documented. But I remember really clearly, it was a rematch between the two of them because the game before that, Russ had kind of fucked Marcus up. Like he really kind of gave it to him. And in this game, I remember really clearly thinking that showed a lot of grit because he came back. He kept Russ to like fucking 5 points. He scored like 27. He had like 8 rebounds. It was like the quintessential Marcus Smart game. It was like 26, 8 rebounds, like 3 blocks, 3 steals. Like it was just like all around. And it was like, and if you watched it with the eye test back, you'd be like, holy shit, that is a Marcus Smart game. Like if he has a game like that, you win the game kind of a thing, because he influenced the game in so many different ways, especially defensively, but he was such a momentum player. He could swing the momentum. And I put an asterisk on this last year because he just wasn't able to do that for us when we needed him the most last year, which, I don't know if I blame him for that. I think there was more problems than Marcus Smart, but like he was such a guy that could really swing the momentum of a game with a steal, with a block, with a big rebound, with diving for a loose ball, getting into a fight. Like this is the theme of who this guy was. And I don't necessarily disagree with the people who criticize him for being a volume shooter and missing a lot of those shots and shooting on cold streaks and shooting at really inopportune times. But at the same time, man, like that's been a problem with this whole team, and I think he shouldered a lot of the blame for that quality in the Celtics, like especially this last season. Like we were a fucking three-point shooting team. We didn't know how to do anything else. Like we were completely fucking two-dimensional in that sense. So we got figured out. And I don't think you can put it all on Marcus Smart to like get that figured out. And also honorable mention to the time that Grant Williams was trying to fire us up 2 seasons ago in the Eastern Conference Finals against Miami, and Marcus just rolled his eyes and walked away. I really enjoyed that because I fucking hate that guy. Grant Williams, that is, not Marcus Smart. All love for Marcus. You guys got any more good moments?
I mean, not necessarily, just that, through the last 9 years, Marcus has been such a staple to this city and to this organization. And like, he really was the identity of this team. As much as, we'll get into it, as much as this move made sense, I completely understand the blowback and the fire behind the Celtics fans' emotions behind this trade. Like I totally get it, but it was the time to sell high. We'll get into it more. It was the right time and the right place, but like it's completely understandable. Celtics fans went through a period of mourning for Marcus Smart because he literally was the Celtics for the last decade. You know what I mean? Like I remember picking up that Wicked Smart shirt, and it feels like a lifetime ago that I got that, man. It was when IT was here, through all these iterations of these teams that overachieved, from these teams that, didn't have heart, and he was the heart. There's just so many seasons where Marcus was the positive point for this team and the heart and the grit, and that's what Boston gravitates towards. So it's so understandable, the emotion and the heartbreak, the real heartbreak that this fan base has gone through over the last week. It's so understandable.
Yeah. I honorable mention too to that pass to Tatum for the spin move for the game winner.
Yeah,
in
man.
these playoffs. There's a lot, like we're realizing it as we talk about it, and more moments kind of come up in my head. I'm getting kind of sad thinking about it. Like there are a lot of moments that Marcus Smart has come through for our team. And also there was this, I don't know if you guys experienced this, maybe you knew it already or were more aware of it than me, but there was this kind of come to Jesus about how much Marcus Smart loved Boston when he got traded. Like maybe it's revisionist history, but it's like, I don't know if you saw, but like every single screenshot of the thing was like a screenshot of his like Twitter profile of like the greatest city on earth. And
Greatest
like,
city. Yep.
And it's like, oh man, he actually really liked it here. And in a city that inside the context of the NBA, not everybody is a huge fan of coming to play here for a myriad of reasons. One most obvious, but I think that it's been historically difficult for us to get free agents to come to Boston because I think that inside NBA culture, now correct me if I'm wrong here, but inside NBA culture, Boston isn't seen as like an entirely NBA friendly city to play in. As much as like, obviously we've had a profound amount of success with the Celtics. I think they're, to not get into it too deeply, I think that certain things that happened while Bill Russell was playing here and certain things that have happened in this city, and there's certain reputation that we've cultivated as a city that may be true and may not be true. It's probably true everywhere, but maybe it's not a great idea to like cultivate the fact that you like don't like, you're not the most welcoming city in the world to black people when you want to get fucking NBA players to come play for your fucking team. And like, I don't know. I don't know what the actual answer to that question is. I think that like there's probably nuance to it. But what I do think is that somebody of Marcus Smart's caliber and somebody of his level saying that he loved the city of Boston was helpful to us in maybe repairing some of the damage that we've done as fans, if that makes sense. Like if I'm way off base, let me know. But I think that it's always good to have players like that, like him, like KG, guys that like you said, Bobby, like do epitomize the grit and toughness that we try to put forth in this city. Say, hey, this is a good place to play basketball. Whether we deserve the criticism or not.
KG said it. KG said it at his retirement ceremony. I don't know if it was caught on air or not, but he said, he was like, look, he said, Boston, and this is verbatim. He said, Boston, I knew y'all fucked with me, but I didn't know y'all fucked with me like this. He said, I fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so
man. Yeah.
that so it was, he was only here he was here for 6 years. 6 years.
Yeah. And I think that like, I think that what's true about Boston, regardless of like whatever fucking idiot might say some shit on Twitter individually, I think that like what's true of our city more than anything else is like, if you play for one of our teams, like we love you more than our children. So it's like, you know,
I
for better or for
named
worse.
one of my children
Yeah, right.
after him. So, you know.
It's like for better or for worse, like I think that like I hope to eventually rid the thinking of NBA players that like we're like that, but like LeBron James says it every 2 weeks that we're the most fucking racist city to go play in. And like I'm not gonna like denigrate his experience because he's on the fucking court getting screamed at by our fans, and I'm sure he's heard some diabolical shit. But if Marcus Smart loves it here, then like that's good enough for me. As far as guys that I respect go. But in saying that, we are going to have to talk about the negative side of Marcus's game and what positives it might bring to essentially, I think we can probably, in order to not beat up on Marcus Smart too much, talk about it in the sense of a transition from a backcourt focus to a frontcourt focus, which is, I think, what we're trying to do. And I think it's also no secret that I've been fucking begging for this for like 10 years. I'm very excited that we have a 7'3" guy in the fucking front court and a guy that can do all those things. Would I have picked Kristaps Porzingis off of a wish list in my top 5? Probably not, but that's only because of his injury history and like his inability to like actually string a lot of games together. But last season was his best example of stringing a lot of games together. So I'm wrong. But what do you think, Ray, is gonna be the biggest change strategically, tactically, now that we've essentially declared Derek White, I would imagine, our starting point guard, right? Like he's our number 1 guard now, which I'm totally fine with based on how well I've seen him play.
Yeah, I'm here for my victory lap on that one, but
yeah, no, absolutely. I think
take
we
a
give it
victory
to you.
lap
I
on
think
that,
we
man,
give
for
it to you.
sure.
You're absolutely right. I don't know if anyone
Yeah.
actually argued with you. I think we were like, oh, seems like Ray fucking.
no, it wasn't
than us.
necessarily you guys. Like I felt like I got the same thing I was saying to you guys. I was saying to people that I was just talking to, like, yo, like I think he's gonna be good here. Like he is what you guys like. Everything you loved about Marcus, I was just like, you're gonna love with Derek White too. Like he's not the same personality, but he's gonna play hard. Once again, he just made second team all defense. He's gonna make good decisions. Like, and he shows up. He's there. He plays.
Do you think that he's the kind of player though that like now that he's, because I have this hunch that now that he's going to be tasked with essentially being the number 1 guy in the backcourt,
we don't know that
he's
yet.
the kind of player that will be very good for him. I think that we saw him drop off in the playoffs last year when like a little bit of faith was taken away from his minutes. You know, like he played minutes, but not as important minutes as I wanted him to play. And this was an ongoing argument with us. And I think that contributed to his shot not falling as much. And I just want to know if you think it's going to help that it's like, all right, Derek, you're our fucking guy.
Yeah, no, I think it does. I think that, you've alluded to it, Bobby's alluded to it about him being a confidence player. And, most players are, especially when you're a role player, because you don't know if you're going to get many shots and, when you're going to play and not play. So, yeah, like he had a big jump off from the Atlanta series onto Philly and then eventually with Miami. But, to answer your original question about, what they're doing with having more of a front court focus, it's about damn time, bro. Like, shout out to Lizzo. It's about damn time. Like,
in a minute, I'm gonna need a.
Yeah, exactly. In a minute, I'm gonna need KP to drop 5 or 6 threes. But like that, that's where listen, I'm hype about this shit. Like and once again, the same people that were crying about this, and I know this is not what you asked, but I just have to get this out there.
Sure. Go off, son.
The people that were crying about Marcus needing to go and needing a shakeup are the same motherfuckers that was like, I can't believe you're trading Marcus. How could you? He's the heart and fucking soul. Give me a fucking break, bro. Like,
so true,
give me
man.
a break.
It's so true.
38% from the field. From the field. Not from 3. From the field. 32% from 3. The guy you traded for, once again, you got the return. Once again, basketball-wise, we're not talking about the emotion. You got 2 first-round picks and Porzingis for Marcus Smart for a role player. You got 2 first. Like, that's a fucking fleece. That's a fleece. They got 100 week bamboozled, let us stray, whatever word you want to use. Brad Stevens fleeced the Washington Wizards, and it was like that was a beautiful deal on paper. Once again, we have to see it.
Absolutely true.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but needless to say,
that's not debatable. So if anyone's if anyone's on the fucking internet,
my brother. It has been debatable because
It's
people
not.
have been on Twitter
It's
and
really not.
crying and bitching and moaning about how how could they? And
Well,
I've
but
said
there's
this
a difference, right? Like, I
Yeah,
feel like
right.
if somebody was to say, okay, I want, and I'm not saying this, I don't think this, but but like Marcus, like we're trading away toughness and we're not getting a lot of toughness in return and like that stuff. That's, I think, a valid point. It remains to be seen, but I think it's a valid point. I don't think that you can make the argument that we didn't handily win the asset battle on paper. I don't think anyone reasonable basketball
You'd be
person is
surprised.
making
There's
that
been a lot
point.
of dumb takes
I
for
think-
the last week or so.
I think
Well,
we're
why? Who? Skip
so-
Bayless? That guy makes
so-
dumb fucking takes for a living. That's what he does. He
That's-
picks the
that's a
he
fact. That's
figures out
literally what he
the
does.
right take, and then he says the opposite of it. That's
Why
his
do you
fucking
think?
job.
Why do you think he supports the Cowboys so much? So
Poor Bobby.
I know. Hey, you just got.
I thought Shannon Sharp was going to catch a fucking case with that dude, so I'm glad he left that show. To be honest
But
with you,
so-
I think he was going to come across the table at some point soon. So
I think there's two aspects as to why Boston fans reacted the way they did. The first was that the trade was agreed upon and going to happen for Malcolm Brogdon at first. You know what I mean? So
that would have
the
been an
fact-
even bigger fleece, to be honest.
Right, exactly. And the fact that it went from Malcolm Brogdon, who's been here for 1 year, great year. There's no emotional attachment at all, to Marcus Smart, who has the most emotional attachment to Celtics fans literally on this team, probably since KG and Pierce have been here, or maybe since IT have been here.
Probably IT, yeah.
It's such a big difference where, when I first heard about the trade, I 100% looked at it, was like, that's a great trade for us. Immediately went basketball wise. I was
2% more pumped when it was Brogdon. I will say,
yeah,
just again, on an
100%.
asset- on an asset-
100%.
on an asset point of view.
But as soon as the emotional part set in, it definitely, hit a little harder, where I was like, oh man, it's Marcus. So, you know what I mean? Like, at first, my basketball mind was like, I love it. The pick and rolls, I said this to you guys, the pick and rolls between JT and Kristaps are going to.
Oh yeah, we're
be-
gonna magically start
Bro,
running a pick and roll with Jason Tatum, because like we've literally never once done that ever. But I guess we're just gonna start doing that. I
But,
don't
like,
see it.
They better,
Not
because
the
that's
physical, but I think we'll see more high-low action.
High- how low,
hopefully.
yeah, for sure.
Jason Tatum is gonna have
Um,
a pick and roll in his game. I've been begging for it for 5 fucking
It's
years.
just,
but whatever.
it just feels like it's set up to a Kristaps JT pick and roll would literally be impossible to stop. You know,
You're
what
not
I mean?
gonna
You
do
got two guys, but you got two guys that have a wingspan over 7 feet, two guys that can pick and pop, two guys that can drive the hole, two guys that can shoot the three. Like, they are meant together to run a deadly pick and roll. That's what they're meant to do together. And that's immediately where my head went. But of course, the emotion side comes in after that, and it's like, but that's where I feel like the negativity of Marcus's game kind of outweighs that, because the efficiency rate of this team now should go up tenfold to where it was before.
and
You know,
it-
the
it
efficient
will.
basketball should be crazy at this point compared to what it was, or what we saw with Marcus running the offense. It should be night and day at an efficiency standpoint.
Right. So let me make it even more plain, right? Even more simple. There was never a game in Marcus Smart's career, whether he came off the bench or he started, you never came into, and I'm talking about offensively, not defensively, on offense, saying we got a game plan to stop Marcus Smart. Ever. And if you say otherwise, you're lying, and I would take anyone's basketball card that will say that to me, because you're lying with a straight face. There was never a time that you said we got to stop 36.
No, I actually think you literally
No,
were like, make it go to the
Make
third
him play.
option.
And make
Right.
Make it go to the
make
third
him
option.
play.
Make Marcus Smart beat us, and if he beats us, then great. You live with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that was
So
the plan.
That would not be the case with Kristaps Porzingis. Once again,
When he
he-
plays, we're really skirting
When he
this
plays-
fucking issue here.
hey, once again, I say what you will. Before the injury, he started the first year with 72 games. Next year after that was 65. Then I know he had the injury in 2018, 2019. He didn't play. So then he comes back. Once again, I think the blessing in disguise that he had it young, right? He had it young. He was 23, 24 when it happened. Last year, 2 years ago, 58 games. This year, 65.
Yeah, but sure. But you worry about 7'3" guys. Like, you just know you do.
You got to remember
Yes.
what the Knicks got for Kristaps
But
when they traded him, and they got what, four first-round picks for him?
It's getting blown out of proportion though, because we said the same shit with Brogdon, and I know Brogdon ended up getting hurt in in a
blown out of
comfort.
proportion, but it's like we already have a very injury prone front court. Like I just think that
Sure.
if you add the context of Rob Williams, like if we were to trade Rob Williams now, I'd be 100% fine with that because I don't think you can rely on both those guys. Like that's just taking too much of a risk. There's a chance that you're in a playoff situation where Rob Williams and Kristaps Porzingis are both hurt. I know there's a chance of people being hurt all the time, but it's like a guy, our longest guy being injured is something I don't want to keep going through. Right. So my worry
Yeah,
is,
I mean, yeah. Obviously, there's not a way to.
no, there's nothing you can do. I get it. I understand.
It's
You're not going to
at
not
the
make
point,
the
but
trade. You're not going to not make the trade based
yeah,
on that
I
information.
I just think that you find a way to manage. I mean, once again, I think if you get between 55 to 65 games from him, I mean, for Porzingis, like that's huge. And once again, you don't need him to play all 82. Don't want him to play all 82, right? So I think it would be awesome to see him play right at that 60, 62 game mark. Don't have him play on back to backs. And just kind of go from there. But like I say, you have to game plan for him because if you don't, once
They'll
again,
kill you.
wait, just wait till. And matter of fact, I sent the highlights to y'all in our group chat. You seen Gabe Vincent, who's about all of our height, trying to guard him, and he looked at him like, "Are you for real?" My man just raised up, and you heard the PA announcer, Kristaps Porzingis for 3. Like I'm telling you, it's going to be open season. But and once again, I think Tatum, Brown, whoever's around is going to flourish a lot more because they have much more space. That's the goal. Brad Stevens said it in his presser, and we should have known. We should have known when I think what was the press
That
conference?
backcourt did look clogged as fuck. Like it
No,
really
it's-
just
no,
there
no,
was
for
no
sure, but
spacing. Like it was so bad.
June 1st when he had the press conference, I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed for what he said. I was like, hey man, like we're gonna act like nothing needs to fucking change, Brad. Like, don't
Yeah,
do
but
this.
that's the thing you got to say, right?
Sure, but I wanted what he ended up doing. I was like, okay, cool, Brad. Because I was like,
Because it's obviously not what he thought.
yeah, I was getting a little worried that he was gonna be, complacent. But listen, I've got on him as a coach. Remember, everyone knows, we call him horseshoes. Horseshoes. I love what he's been able to do as a GM. I completely trust that he's gonna find someone here in a few weeks that's gonna be able to add, to the team as a wing or as someone in the backcourt or another big. Like, I fully trust that he's gonna get someone in here, that's gonna highlight what the Jays can do, what Derek White can do, so on and so forth. So I'm excited to see how the team unfolds the next few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like it's no secret that I've been waiting for a guy of Porzingis' size for all
I
these.
was so happy for you.
Yeah,
no,
I
honestly,
thought
I'm
of you
fucking thrilled.
immediately. Honestly,
I'm fucking thrilled. I mean, I'm trying to lead this show and be as like rational as I possibly can be, but like what I immediately started doing when it happened was like tempering my own expectations. Like I started being like in the group chat, like the trade dropped, and obviously we were all in the group chat right away, and it was like, okay, what do we do? What do we do? And I was like, well, what about his injuries? And you guys were like, well, it's actually not that bad if you average it out over the thing. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, he's so tall. And I just think, like, this is the thing I've been begging for so many reasons, but not least of which that Tatum isn't a traditional front court player in the sense that like his length is really helpful for shot creation and has been since his rookie year. Like he's been able to rise up over anybody, and that's great. And I think that like he's hard to deal with for those type of reasons, but I think his length has sort of let him down in certain ways, like, dribbling into traffic, et cetera, et cetera. These are conversations we've had a million times. Porzingis has that length thing where it's like, you can create, like what was happening to us so much in this last playoffs is how many mismatches teams were able to get on us. Like just constant mismatches. And it was the opposite of what I'm talking about right now. Like there's a lot of guards switching on to Al, et cetera, right? But we didn't have an answer. There was nobody to go to the bench and like switch off because they could have done the same thing to Rob Williams. You pull Rob Williams out to the perimeter, he's getting fucking cooked by anybody with length, right? Porzingis has that kind of length where he doesn't actually, and I've seen him play this exact game, and this is exactly what I've been asking for of this team for so long. As a defender, and I'm not saying you're getting Porzingis for his defensive qualities, like I'm not making this like, that, but insert him into this culture. As a defender, he doesn't need to keep up with you. Like you can blow by him as a guard and he honestly is still with you just because of his length, right? So you can't create mismatches like that. Also, we're just going to go down the other end of the floor and kill you with that same mismatch, right? You want to switch your guard onto Kristaps Porzingis? I don't know. Maybe Joe Mazzulla can figure this out. Maybe he can't. but that's neither here nor there. In a perfect world, in a Willy Wonka lottery world, we go, cool. I guess that's the matchup. We have them switch on to fucking Porzingis, and he just murders guys in the post, right? Murders guys on the perimeter because of his height. He can shoot the 3-ball. Like, he has all these fucking things, all these things that I've been begging for. The thing that I like the most about it is the thing that Bobby's saying. I'm just worried that we're not actually going to do it. I've been waiting. I've been asking for Jason Tatum to be the fucking pick and roll guy as the fucking roller for 3 years now, right? I'm like, he's so long. He's so long. Like, do it with the guards. We got like 4 guards that can run that so well, and he could just roll to the basket. We never do it, right? If he could do it as the guy, right, as the ball handler, and Kristaps Porzingis can be the roller, I'm not even asking for like a full traditional pick and roll, right? Like, your high low point is exactly what I'm talking about, because you don't even really need to set the screen. Just go in the, like, create, like, narrow the lane. We used to do it all the time with like Al Horford and IT, right? It's like narrow and this is an even better example of it. Narrow the lane. Get the height mismatch, get the length mismatch, switch the 2 guys, even if they're comparable, switch the 2 guys just for the switch. And all you need to do is have Jason Tatum get a step, because then he can make the decision, dunk on the guy, or just fucking, lay it up to Kristaps Porzingis. In my head, it's so pretty to think about.
Even then, it pulls off the...
Or you can pick and pop, too.
The pop, man. The pops is there at that point, right?
Yeah. So he doesn't even have to roll in. Like, they're not really that physical players. So if it's like clogged underneath, but the thing that I really, really like about this signing is that whatever happened against Miami, and you can go to sleep at night fucking deluding yourselves, but if you watch the NBA Finals, whatever happened against Miami, we were losing to the fucking Denver Nuggets. There is a 0% chance that Celtics would beat the Denver Nuggets.
I said this last show, man. I said this last show.
No fucking way, right? Now, I'm not saying that he's going to do anything to Jokic. I'm not saying that he's going to, like, silence him or whatever, but at least there's some length at that position. He does pretty good against Joel Embiid. Joel's got him a couple times, but like Joel Embiid, guys like him, guys like Giannis, every team that's in contention has a guy that's that fucking long,
But so I think I shared it in the group chat, but watch his highlights against the Bucks this year. I only care about 3 teams, so the Bucks, Miami, Philadelphia, like anyone else, whatever. Like,
sure.
So,
and Philadelphia's
No, I'm saying because of Embiid. I'm saying, like,
of course.
Embiid basically sagged off, and I'm like, oh, you disrespect? You're gonna sag off? Great.
And he killed him. Yeah.
He was just whoop. Kristaps Porzingis for 3. Whoop. Like he didn't have this when he first got to the league. That little fadeaway, like I think he got it from Dirk or whatever. That little fadeaway he had off the glass, that's just damn near automatic. So, once again, scoring.
I wish he would. I know exactly the shot you're talking about, and I hope that he gets to that spot a little bit more, because I've watched games of him doing that
every time.
Yeah. Because I really do agree with you about that exact shot, and it is my favorite shot of his. But I feel like he stops going there, and that's my one word.
Well, because he shoots a 3 so well, so it's like that's what happened. But it's just like,
man, like Embiid was doing that to us this playoffs, right? He was getting that elbow and just fucking murdering us, because Rob Williams was just like getting put on skates every time. So if we can do that to teams, like, let's go.
But that's I think this is the exact trio that spoke about it. We have lamented, mainly me, because I'm so big on it. Score from every level.
Yeah.
This is what this trade does. You're able to score from every level. And I want to go back to the point you made a few moments ago about the defense. I actually think that's going to be the biggest help. I really do. And the reason why I say that,
because we don't have that defensive quality in this team.
Well, it's that, but also him as not even the guy that's going to be the primary defender, but the same thing that Rob's doing, right? Playing that center field.
Yeah.
Him being the help defender when someone gets by Tatum or whoever gets by Brown or whatever, and he's there to erase it. Like, I watched the highlights he had in Dallas. I watched some highlights he had last year. At Washington. Like, when other people have gotten by his teammates, he's there and he's not swatting it out of bounds. He's catching it, like the old Bill Russell play, catching it, and then it's going up the court. So
that one pass to Kuz down the baseline, bro. That's been played on all the highlights.
Yeah, that's going to be huge.
Speaking of which, they're not keeping Kuzma. I mean, they're tanking next year, right? Like, that's why.
Kuz is probably.
He wants.
He already opted out, but
but that's why they gave us this trade, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
It's like it's not a 3-team deal, or it's a 3-team deal. So it's like you don't get Marcus Smart back, and you're just like worried about it. You're just like they're basically like it's a fire sale. So like we benefited essentially. I think. Why would they not tank at this point?
I mean, this trade, it just when you boil it down, man, it adds. So we've gone over the last 20 minutes of all these basketball elements that it adds to our team.
Haven't even
And,
talked
like,
about Rob Williams and him as the double
Right,
big.
the negative, the only negative it takes away is this heart and toughness and the intangibles and things like that. To me, those things can be cultivated. Like, I know it's really hard, but those things can be coached and they can be brought up, and you can instill a mindset in a team. But when it comes to actual skill and basketball prowess, those things can't necessarily be taught. And I just feel like the positives of giving up Marcus and bringing Kristaps in here outweigh that heart and those intangibles tenfold. To me, I just feel like with the right culture, and I feel like the coaching staff that we brought in here can really help with that.
Can I ask you a question on that note? Can I ask you one question on that note?
Yeah.
Do you think that, and this is like wildly theoretical, but do you think that there was a world where, first of all, I'll say this, like just as a precedent, we're done with the like, I know we were kind of already like this, but we're done with the like, they're so young, da 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 da. Like it's now like
No, that era is over.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are now the leaders of this team 100%, and it's 100% on them. And in fact, it's Jason Tatum, if we're being honest. It's him.
It's JT.
And he needs to be the fucking leader of this team. He needs to be the best player, and like all responsibility is now on his shoulders. I wonder if, and my question to you is, to either of you, wildly speculative, but is Marcus Smart the kind of guy that makes it hard for Jason Tatum to like step up and become the leader because of the situation that timing wise that they had? Jason likes him. He respects him. He defers to him maybe. And now this as a positive, maybe, and I'm blue skying it here, but maybe this is finally the thing that had to happen for Jason to step up and say, okay, this is my team now. Like, this is my team, and you need to, like, fucking listen to what I say.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if that's a positive, possibly, from Marcus leaving. As much as his leadership was great, there could have been too many cooks in the leadership kitchen situation.
So I've made this analogy before, and I bring it back to corporate America whenever it comes to, like, leadership qualities and whenever it comes to, like, teamwork and team building. And yes, 100%, because I know everyone out there has been in a position where you feel like you could be a leader of a team. You could step up and you could be that guy. But there's that person that's kind of above you, kind of has more say and has more emotion and more following within the team. So you don't want to step on that person's toes. So you always feel like you need to go through them. You need to run it by them.
Because Marcus was here. He was established.
Right, exactly. He's the guy. Right, exactly. So you can't necessarily step as soon as that person leaves.
10 years a thing. Yeah.
Listen, when it comes to a mob mentality, right? When someone leaves, that's the leader. Everyone is looking for someone else to lead. When it's in that kind of situation, everyone is always trying to find like, okay, that person's gone. Who are we going to next? That's going to set this tone. That's going to make those big decisions. And if anyone's going to step up, and if there's ever a time in Tatum's career for him to step up, this is it, man. And if it doesn't come now, that's when we start to question things, and that's when we really start to point the fingers at Jason Tatum. Because at that point, you know what I mean? There is no more excuses.
I think the
JT.
safety net's gone.
This is your team, bro. It is now officially Jason Tatum's squad. So if they're still weak down the stretch, if there's still no heart when it comes to these game sevens and they get blown up by 14 points, 15 points, whatever the case may be, there's only one person we're pointing the finger at. Well, two. Joe Mazzulla is always going to be the first person if this happens again. But the second,
well, he doesn't have any excuses anymore.
He's going to
Either.
be
He's got
JT,
staff now,
right?
So
Exactly.
That's true. Ray, who are our top three players now? In order.
It's Tatum, Brown, Porzingis.
You think Brown is still two?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, once again, was I mad and like everyone else was mad about the Miami table? Sure. The man still got 27 tonight. Like you're still like, once again, now that the anger cloud is gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, he definitely is still the number two guy. So yeah, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, like that.
So essentially, what we're saying is we've massively upgraded our number three best guy.
Yes.
That's essentially the moral of the story.
100%.
Right.
We
Correct.
had a big three. Now we have a fucking gigantic three. Is what the conclusion we come to. Lastly, with the last couple minutes we have left, I would love to talk about potential shakeups that are still in the pipeline for this Boston Celtics team. I don't have any real hard scoops here. There's no woe bombs like pending. It looks like we're gonna re-sign Jaylen Brown. It's that seems like a foregone conclusion. I'm glad there's no bullshit trade rumors about him. We're either going to do it or we're not. So let's just, get him locked in and like, let's run this shit back with those top two guys plus Kristaps. Ideally, what would you guys like to see happen? Is it a deep bench issue? I know everybody wants to see Pritchard traded now, maybe not Bobby, but everybody probably wants to see Pritchard traded now at this point. Because he opened his big fucking mouth at the tail end of the season about how he didn't have enough minutes, and I wanted to slap his little face off. But I'd love to know what you guys conceptually think about the remainder of this team, because I know we say this every year now, it seems like, but it seems you can't ask Al Horford to be that guy again this season, and I think it's good that we got Kristaps for a little front court relief. There's still the hanging Rob Williams question. I mean, in an ideal world, I would love to see that double big lineup with him and KP. Like the idea of a Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, Rob Williams 5 is the longest fucking team I've ever conceived in my head.
Yeah, that's wild.
They're
That's wild.
insanely long in that 5. But can Rob Williams put a full season together? Is that a realistic idea? So conceptually, Ray, like, have you thought about this at all? Is there something else you think we need to do to win a fucking championship at this point, or you like what we got?
So, well, no, definitely like what they have currently. I do think two players that I thought about was Tim Hardaway Jr.
I love Hardaway Jr.
And then
Is he Tim Hardaway Jr.? Is he Tim Hardaway's kid?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Like 1990s guard.
Yeah, Miami Heat.
He
Tim Hardaway.
doesn't
Cool.
have the crossover that Dad had, but
That was a beast, bro.
Yeah.
was the best,
for sure. Hall of Famer too.
Junior was great at Michigan though. He hasn't been amazing since, but he's been.
Yeah,
really,
I mean he's been once again like star in his role. Like he's not gonna be someone else. He's not gonna be an all-star player.
Yeah.
If you need 10 to 12, points, and he can give you 15 to 20 minutes a night like that, that's what he is now. So him and Torrey Craig, who was in Phoenix, he also played in Denver during his career. I just another guy that gets versatility at the wing. And I feel like that would be huge. I would love to see Blake Griffin come back.
I'll take Blake back for sure.
He was phenomenal last season. So but back to the Tim Hardaway thing, I do think that because Dallas is looking for another wing, I would talk to once again, they could renounce the grants rights and just let him walk and be a free agent. I do think that he actually talked a little bit about it today during the event that they were at. I do think that if they Brad and whoever sits down with him and says, hey, would you like to go to Dallas or would you like to go to Orlando, whatever? But I would hope that he would say Dallas so we can get Tim Hardaway back in that deal, because they'd probably make around the same money in a sign and trade. You probably give Grant what Doug McDermott got a few years ago, which was like 3 years and $42 million, which is not crazy in today's NBA.
Kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy for Grant, but I've been hearing 44 for
What's in the year about? You gotta think though, for a role player now, like that's not.
Yeah,
What
that's
role
it
does
is
he
nowadays,
play?
man.
Start,
That's what it is.
Like
In Dallas, he'd be valuable. He'd be more valuable in Dallas.
And I just feel like they're trying to retool some more defenders around Luka, whatever. So fine, whatever.
Exactly.
Like, if they want to take that, cool. Like not a problem. But I just think that's what it would take in order for that to happen. So yeah, find a way to get Tim Hardaway. Or maybe if you go to Orlando, and because they need to get they're guard heavy now too. So whether it's Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, how wild would it be if we got Markelle Fultz after all that happened?
We're full circle.
So I mean, I just think those are a few things that come to mind. But I do think get some wings. I definitely want to bring Blake Griffin back. I think that he definitely was a fan favorite. And once again, he played his role to perfection last year. So I think that he's extra insurance there. 'Cause I know they got rid of Muscala. So I think that would be phenomenal. I know Cornette's still there, but I just think having Blake there would be that to me should be one of the priorities after getting someone depth.
Bobby, you got a wish list?
Yeah, so my first one is I don't know if it's a pipe dream. He just declined his option. He just won an NBA championship, and I think it'd be great to bring into town someone with that championship caliber, and that's Bruce Brown, from Denver. I feel like
Wow, that's all I think.
he's exactly what we're looking for, man. He brings that heart, he brings that grit, he brings that toughness, and he can shoot. We need a spot shooter on this team, and Bruce Brown brings that. I know Jokic brought out the best in him. That it's by far the best season he's had in his career this past year, and I get that. And I know Jokic isn't here in Boston, but I feel
He
like
was
we
good at
have.
Brooklyn though. He was good at.
He wasn't what he was this year, though. He didn't have the impact that he had this
Yes,
year.
yeah, true. Yeah.
And the other one, I know might be too soon for you Celtics fans. They bring someone in here like this who has this kind of intangible quality, who may not be the best basketball player, but brings the heart and the grit that everyone's looking for. That's Pat Bev. I wouldn't have hated Pat Bev in Boston. He's talked about Boston.
Might as well get Dylan Brooks.
He loves the
Bro,
fans.
he loves it
He
here,
loves the
man.
fans.
And I feel like he would feed into this crowd so much. And I feel like Boston would fall in love with Pat Bev really quick. Listen, I know it's a rebound, and I know as Celtics fans, you're not ready for that. Okay. You went out to the bar, 2 a.m. The girl that looks exactly like your ex walks up, and you're like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ready for this kind of one night stand yet. Listen, guys,
he knows his role though.
Yeah, you got to rebound quick.
Well,
And I feel like if there's
Yeah.
someone that can fill a Marcus Smart role like that and not clog up as much of the basketball quality like Smart kind of did at times, and it's Pat Bev, man. And the other pipe dream for me, it's already rumored that he's going to be bought out. Bring Gallinari back, bro. Bring me some Danilo back.
Well, I don't think that can happen.
I don't think we can get him back.
Is that not allowed? Are we not allowed to do that?
Because that's what happened last
Somebody
year.
else has to buy him out, I think, first.
Yeah,
right?
no, Washington's going to buy him out. That's the rumor.
Oh,
is
I
that
mean-
Washington's
I mean,
buying him out.
maybe-
So if we can get Danilo back, bro, if he wants to come back, I welcome him back with open arms, because again, that's exactly the type of guy we need coming off the bench. And I don't think you can ever have enough stretch 3-4s who can shoot the three. So if we can get him or someone like him back, that'd be awesome. But those first two are my first two big wish list items, man. It just
There's a
completely.
guy that we're missing. I'm gonna see if DK brings him up. Now I'll bring
Go
him
ahead.
up.
Go ahead.
All right, I'll tell you my list, and a couple of them might seem unlikely, but essentially what I'm looking for is my two big wish list things are a replacement for Grant Williams, which I should get. I fucking hate Grant Williams tattooed on my fucking forehead. I think there's a lot of options for that, and then maybe I have one guy that I think would be a perfect Jaylen Brown support system. So hear me out on these, okay? First, Nick Richards from the Hornets. I don't know if you guys know him at all. He's basically Grant Williams if he was 245 pounds and actually fucking tall. He can rebound the basketball. I think he's not the best scorer in the world, but I don't think we really need him for that. I think he's great front court cover. I think he's an option because I think his rookie contract's about to expire. He played for Kentucky, or Duke.
Are you talking about Nick Richards or PJ Washington?
Nick Richards.
Nick Richards, okay.
Nick Richards. So either Duke or Kentucky, one of the big fucking basketball teams. Probably, I'm thinking
One of the blue bloods.
I'm thinking Kentucky because he's enormous, but I think he's really good.
Is he white?
No, he's black.
Oh.
No,
Just
he
say
was
that it might be
Kentucky. He's
Kentucky.
Kentucky. He's 7 feet tall. He's 7 feet tall. He's essentially a pure center.
Yeah, facts.
You're not no. I didn't want to go there, but I actually did have the thought. I was like, no.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it's fair. It's valid.
Yeah. I think you could actually trade, if you look at his contract, you could actually trade Peyton Pritchard for him straight up because they're on a very similar contract because I think they were in a similar draft class, if not the same draft class. $5 million a season, non-guaranteed in 25-26. I think he's perfect. I think he's got size. I think you can take a punt on him for that kind of price. Anybody that's 245 pounds and 7 feet tall is coming to open tryouts in the DK Sizzle land of fucking the Celtics basketball. And I am very happy we got Kristaps, but I think we all know he's not traditionally like a traditional 7-footer in the way that I truly want. Cody Martin. Anybody have any interest in Cody Martin? I think he brings wing cover, like you were talking about, Ray. I think he brings. I wouldn't say he's like an elite scorer, but like the 7 points a game that Grant Williams is gonna fucking take away from our team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's like completely fair. Again, cheap. Again, young. That if you're detecting a theme here, it's like, let's go get a fresh young core to support the guys that we now already have. It is my ideal, and I think there's a lot of guys on expiring contracts, rookie contracts that are good for that. Heavy punt and very unlikely. Would not mind Jared Vanderbilt. Would not mind Jared Vanderbilt. I know he's a Laker.
Hey, he was pretty solid in the playoffs, man.
Pretty solid in the playoffs.
We talked about him at the trade deadline. I wanted to find a way.
That's
to
what
get
put
him.
it in my head. That's what put it in my head, and it's been hard for me to get it out. Another Kentucky guy, also black. I think again he brings that like 8 to 9 points off the bench that Grant maybe had on a really good day. But he can also rebound the basketball. I think he averages like 6 to 8 rebounds a game.
He can pass it too.
Yeah, he can pass the ball. He can steal. I think he's very versatile, and I think that like he would make a lot of different people happy, a lot of different camps, and I think he can bring that in. Number 1 on my wish list. Well, the next 2 are tied for 1 on my wish list. This guy I think would be such a fucking perfect cover for Jaylen Brown when Jaylen Brown hits a shooting slump, when he needs some minutes. I think this is a legitimate playoff guy. I think, again, it might be a little pie in the sky, but Saddiq Bey.
Oh, I love Saddiq, bro. Yeah.
I mean, that's just like, again.
Me and Ray have been Saddiq Bey guys since he came out, bro.
Yes,
Yeah.
Listen, you don't have to sell me on Saddiq Bey.
It's just not going to happen, right? It's not going to fucking happen. That's the problem. He looked great for Atlanta in the playoffs. I think like he has that like pure.
He's a transpulsion type player.
Yes.
What's crazy about Saddiq Bey too is I've never seen someone be able to randomly go off for 50 in a night like Saddiq Bey can. He averages 10, 12 a game, but randomly he'll just drop 30 to 40 points on any given night.
Just like remember Corey Brewer?
Same thing. Yep.
Yeah. And I think he's like a pure small forward too. Like we have a lot of guys that are like, he could play the 2, he could play the 3, he could play the 4. It's like you just put him in the 3, let him do his fucking thing, you know. And I think that like I think Jaylen Brown would be the player that benefited the most from a Saddiq Bey signing. And also he's fucking cheap. He's fucking cheap, dude. His contract's not crazy. Lastly, but not leastly, I think this is probably my number 1 choice if I could pick anybody, because I think that we could really rehabilitate this guy's career. Not saying that he really needs a huge rehabilitation, but I think we can actually do that here. I think he'd be perfect. Again, like a Grant Williams replacement. We could get him with the Grant Williams money or the Peyton Pritchard contract, and that's Jalen Smith. I think that he would be. He dropped off a little bit when he got traded to the Pacers. I think, or well, I don't even know if he had played any games before he got traded to the Pacers, but he is another guy that can give us 5 to 8 rebounds a game. You know, a couple steals maybe here and there, like little intangible things, maybe drop 14 on average on a team like ours, you know, depending on the amount of minutes that he gets. It's further wing cover. Like we said, we need it. And yeah, I think those guys are all realistic targets with maybe the exception of Vanderbilt. And I think, or maybe Saddiq Bey might be a little outside of our reach too, but I think that these are all guys. This is a list of guys that you could actually conceivably get with a Peyton Pritchard plus a pick, or a Peyton Pritchard plus a sign and trade of Grant Williams, or something to or a 3-team with a package or whatever. These are all guys that could come in and have an instant impact on this team, but also could be a lot better come May than they are when we sign them. So I think that I think that it's 1 or 2 of these guys is worth taking a punt. I don't see us making any sort of insane deals to bring in like a like a Brandon Ingram or something. Like, I don't think we're going to get anybody I don't think we're going to get another top 20 player. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think with our core right now, what we need is for Grant Williams to leave immediately on the next plane out of Logan, and for us to get some cover in those positions. And again, I mean, guys like Blake and re-signing guys like that, I'm disappointed that Moose is gone, because I think he was perfect for that position, but it's cool. Yeah. I think these are all guys that we could bet in and get good right away. And I think that they're all guys that would be better for playing around the guys that we already have. So that's my wish list. But who were you going to say that I didn't mention?
Guy, because he literally just opted out today. Dante DiVincenzo.
I didn't know he was an option.
Yeah.
He opted out because it was like he
I
was
thought they
making.
re-signed him. Oh, I would take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the only one championship. You know, can shoot. He'll provide suffers as well. I think he'd be perfect as another guard.
He can pass the ball too.
Right, exactly. So I just think, but I mean, they would look at his shooting more than his passing. So I think that would be a guy that
You guys fucking love naming like all-time great college players to come to the Celtics.
We do.
It's like your
We're big
favorite
on the
things to
all-time
do.
great college guys.
Like I named a couple Wildcats, but not like he won Final Four player of the tournament. Like it's like those are always your guys. It's so funny.
Can I name one more guy that I don't even know if it's realistic when it comes to salary wise, because I know what he just declined. Draymond's not an option to come to Boston, right? That's not something that's even remotely possible at this point, right?
He's looking for something 3 years, 100. Now, if you were to say they're
I don't
gonna
think we can afford that.
they were gonna do Brogdon. So what happens? And I forgot what y'all heard it on, but how it works. So say if they re-sign Draymond for 3 for 100, right? Because that deal is going to happen after July 1st. There's a higher percentage of the money that you have to match. So like,
Yeah.
and I'm maybe saying it wrong, but I know that's the gist of it. So basically, you probably could have got like Brogdon for Green, like right now, if that was the case. Because it would have matched up a little more.
Post July 1.
Now it would probably take Brogdon, Pritchard, maybe even a sign and trade with Grant, and probably a first round. For Draymond. And you said you would do it. You said.
I said we don't need to do all that. Or
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that I think that's what they would. That's what they would look for. So yeah,
I also think he's trying to get a bag. Like I think he's trying to get that contract. I don't think he's trying to.
I mean, as he should. He's not.
He's going to go to like the Pistons.
He's got his rings.
Yeah, he's going to go to the Pistons who can afford him. He's from
the
Detroit.
Kings. I heard is another team. Yeah.
Blazers.
Once they traded Poole, though, like they made their decision. They would say, "Look, wink, wink. We're going to bring you back. We're going to give you whatever you're looking for." So that's what that was. It'd be a last deal.
Also, like Draymond Green punching fucking Jordan Poole, it's like
knocked him the fuck out.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit of a sucker punch, but sure, you got to protect yourself at all times. But I think, like we're talking about Marcus Smart being like too much of a leader for Jason Tatum to step up. You think Draymond Green's going to come in there and really do the fucking chemistry a favor? Like he's going to beat the shit out of Jason Tatum.
He loves Tatum though.
He does.
He loves Tatum.
He does. I mean, honestly, like a straight swap Draymond Green for Grant Williams would be fucking perfect. I would love that, but. I think that Draymond Green is a great player. I think he's like obviously got a ton of leadership intangibles, but like you're overpaying for him right now because of his pedigree in the championships. And I just don't think that's a good idea for where we are for our team right now. It'd be great to get him, and I would take him. And all worries about chemistry aside, I would take him. But I feel like we're overpaying for him no matter what. He's going to get $30 million a year at least. I think.
And I just want to reiterate to Celtics fans out there is like this move that we made for Smart. So you already said I don't think there's any more top 20 guys coming. There's going to be small. This is a move that we've been begging for the Celtics to make
100%.
for years. That we've been asking for a major shakeup. We've been asking for something big to change, not just a Brogdon for Neesmith and like all these, small pieces. We've been asking for a major shakeup within this team because we keep getting to this same point, and we got it. So like, instead of dwelling on the past, like I know it's a tough past, guys. I get it, but like. Come on. This is exactly what we've been asking for. This is going to be a 100% different squad this upcoming year. With 100% different outlook of every game. The offense is going to be different. The defense is going to be different. Things are going to change. And I think it's a good thing. I know change is tough. I know it is. But in the end, I really think it's going to work out for us.
Once again, think of 04 Red Sox. Once again.
Right.
I'm not afraid. I bawled when I heard that Nomar Garcia-Parra got traded. Like he was my childhood hero. Like that was my guy. Love Nomar Garcia-Parra. Wore number 5 like him. Did the whole thing with the gloves and that was my guy. So if that guy could get moved, and guess what happened? Orlando Cabrera comes, Doug McCavish comes. They go to the World Series
championship,
and they fucking win it.
Right. Championship.
Let's just pump the brakes. just chill.
Championship. That's all that fucking
Hey,
matters. That's all that matters.
sometimes
that's
good
that's
things,
old, man.
sometimes good things have to fall apart for great things to come together.
You're absolutely right. And honestly, if you guarantee me a championship, there is not one man that's safe on that roster. Like if
100%.
you guarantee me a championship, I don't give a fuck. There's nobody I love enough. I don't even know if my wife is safe enough if you guarantee me a Celtics championship. I'd be like, I don't know, Leah. Maybe we can reconnect again down the road.
You know, like maybe
So,
your part isn't that
I wasn't
bad,
kidding when
you
I
know?
said it was all about 18. Like I don't it's like I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Like I know it's gonna cost me, but I gotta see that shit. All right.
Listen, I got a daughter named Tatum to prove.
No, I'm about
Okay,
it.
so-
I'm about it. I'm gonna cut you off before you say something stupid though, because I just did. Listen, last thing, this is gonna be a quick fire round because this is a good place to end. But quick fire round, I got 5 potential Malcolm Brogdon trades that I just pulled from the internet. I want you guys to pick your favorite one. Lightning round. I'm gonna give you all 5. Try and remember them. Malcolm Brogdon for Mike Conley to the Timberwolves. Malcolm Brogdon for Royce O'Neal and Patty Mills for Brooklyn. Malcolm Brogdon for Jared Vanderbilt, as I just mentioned, and Malik Beasley. Malcolm Brogdon for Kelly Olynyk and Chris Dunn. Malcolm Brogdon for DeAnthony Melton and PJ Tucker. What's your favorite trade out of those 5?
Oh, Vanderbilt and Beasley.
Yeah, that's
Also
an
the
easy
least
pick.
likely one to occur.
It's like, wait, honestly, what's the last one you said? Then Melton and Tucker.
Kelly Olynyk and Chris Dunn.
Oh no, I thought you said
Or
Melton.
DeAnthony Melton and PJ Tucker.
Yeah, that's a good one
So
too.
that would be. Nelson was phenomenal against Tatum in the
I want
playoffs.
PJ Tucker, dude. He's a
But-
1,000 years old.
But you want that toughness. That's the guy.
I want that toughness from the bench. He can play the same role. Sam Cassell can teach him how to do what he did in 08. That's like you're happy. I'm happy to have you for that.
Hit that
reason.
one shot. Hit that one shot. That's all you got.
I was begging for us to leave him wide open for the entire 76ers series, and we finally did. We started winning games. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
DeAnthony Melton, though, fuck yeah, I'd take him for that. I like the idea of Kelly Olynyk coming back too. All right, all possibilities.
I mean, listen, Chris Dunn. Once again, Chris Dunn was in the same draft as.
We already traded for Chris Dunn once, and we traded his ass away.
And once again, I had both my hands raised. I was ready. I was ready for the Chris Dunn era. I thought that he was going to be the guy. So thankfully, I'm not a GM because I was definitely
Former Friar, Providence Friar.
You know,
Former
so,
Brad.
yeah, exactly. So I just think to me, if having Olynyk and Dunn come back, that probably would be the best fit for this team because Olynyk has played with some of the guys on the team, which is crazy to think how fast 7 years goes. But he was there with Brown and Tatum. Well, no, he didn't play with Tatum, but he did play with Brown. For that year. So yeah, I mean, why not? Maybe that might be the most realistic one if that was the case. But
Would anybody be opposed to signing DeMarcus Cousins to a 2-way contract or a veteran minimum? Has that ship sailed?
I'd be here for it.
I'm with it. Yeah.
I'd be here for it. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think.
Listen,
I mean,
you know which two you're talking about, bro. DeMarcus Cousins brings sunshine and rainbows for me and Rayshawn. We're like NBA 2K11 all over again. Let's go.
That was actually part of the podcasting agreement. If we want to be a podcast, you're actually obligated to mention a possible DeMarcus Cousins signing for your NBA team. It's part of being a podcast. You have to do it once in off season.
What about Carmelo? We should bring Carmelo in.
He's retired. He's officially
Yeah,
retired. You don't have to do that
retired.
anymore. I love Carmelo Anthony in his day, though, to be honest with you. Him and Chauncey Billups, if you want to talk about NBA 2K, him and Chauncey Billups were my squad when they were running it
bro.
back in the day.
In
Because we were talking
Denver?
about pick and roll.
Back in Denver, bro.
Oh, yeah. That was best Nuggets team since now. All right. Well, we've talked a lot of pie in the sky things, a lot of things mentioned, a lot of things on record. But honestly, what I am surprised about the tenor of this conversation is we're generally optimistic again about the Boston Celtics. Who would have fucking thunk it, guys?
Who would have thought a little change from some redundancy over the past
But
5
honestly,
years?
I don't think
bring
we would be.
about
I don't think
optimism?
we would be in this position if we were just going to run it back with the same fucking squad again. Because I
100%
don't.
agreed.
I think we'd all be like, look, the holes are there to be exploited. So at least we have all we have now is possibilities. All we have now is our optimism. So we'll see how it goes. I want to definitely talk about these players in the regular season. I want to see how Kristaps shakes out in that team. I want to follow the development of this new system and see what Sam Cassell can bring to the coaching styles. I want to see Joe Mazzulla grow as a coach. He gets a full-on pass for me at this point. We're starting with a clean slate, me and Joe. I'll probably hate him come fucking April, but we'll see. So bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, all rainbows here at Missing the Point. This has been our wonderful podcast about the Celtics offseason, and I'm really looking forward to our DeMarcus Cousins signing. Thank you for listening.